What is going on, FA Nation? Jonathan here with Howard Bender. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. Today, we are taking a look at the 12-game DraftKings main slate. Howard, we love these large slates. No Coors Field, great pitching matchups for us to target, a large player pool for us to build our example lineups from. It's the way to be when it comes to MLB DFS.
It is the way to be. We do have some Great American Small Park in there, and we also have a couple of pitchers who could potentially get beaten up over there. But I'm ready to dive in, man. I'm excited about this. I love this slate because, well, happy Paul Skeens Day.
Happy Paul Skeens Day. We appreciate you all tuning in here with us as well. Want to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, a free way to support the work we do here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. If you don't already know, we are moving our live streams this week to 5 p.m. Eastern time to give us more time for those finalized lineups, weather, and all the other news and notes that come in. So make sure you set your alarms for 5 p.m. Eastern time for our new start time to our daily live show. That said here, Howard, let's dive into pitching where Zach Wheeler is your top price starter going up against the Boston Red Sox in Boston. Reno Blanco still has his price tag up there at $9,700 going up against the Giants. Paul Skeens on the road against the Cardinals at 94, and Yusei Kikuchi on the road against Milwaukee at 91. Those are your top four priced starting pitchers. You mentioned it's Paul Skeens Day. We got Skeens versus St. Louis. Is that your number one pitcher here today?
Out of this top paying up for, yeah, absolutely. I like Skeens. I like Wheeler. Wheeler's a great pitcher. You've also got, though, Rafael Devers and Jarren Duran, a couple of lefty bats that have been producing. So if I don't want to spend up for the 10-5, I'd much rather listen. Paul Skeens against St. Louis. I just think that there's great win equity built into this. Good strikeout numbers as well. St. Louis's lineup has not been good by any stretch of the imagination, and I feel very comfortable utilizing Skeens. He got hit a little bit against the Dodgers, which is great and it's understandable, and I want him to get that kind of an outing out of the way before stepping into this. I think this one here is definitely a smash spot for him.
Yeah, give him a couple of homers. Dodgers are one of the most potent lineups in baseball. That's almost to be expected there. I think it was, didn't Ohtani get to him in that one? So, 93 pitches, pitched deep in the game, still had the 8 strikeouts, elite strikeout numbers. And overall, St. Louis, not great against right-handed pitching. Going a little bit below, we got Brian Wu here at home against the White Sox. That's a pretty nice matchup. Singer and Stroman facing off one against one another. Not sure we want to attack either of those pitchers. If we're looking in that 8K tier, do you got a favorite of that group?
I mean, Wu is definitely the favorite out of that crew. I like him a lot. He's able to go. I know that they kind of limit the innings sometimes, or they were at least early on, but he's gone 6 innings now, I think, in each of his last 2 or 3 starts.
4.
So 4? Oh, there you go. So I like that. The White Sox have been hitting the ball a lot better lately, right? They've got over the past week, like a 330 WOBA, like a 204 isolated power mark. I did the MLB Best Bets article on Monday, and so kind of dove into that a little bit. But despite that, all of that, they're still one of the worst hitting teams against right-handed pitching. So Wu over Singer over Stroman. Probably don't want to go with Hicks here against Houston, and I pretty much don't want to go with Cutter Crawford against the Philadelphia Phillies bats either.
Yeah.
Even though they're just back from London, maybe they get off to a slower than normal start because of the travel, but I don't necessarily know. I think there's better value below that we can attack, so we can focus on Skeens, maybe Brian Wu, and then get some cheaper guys in there.
Yeah, I would agree with you there for sure. Obviously, things started off great for Cutter Crawford. He's had a really tough recent stretch of starts and tough matchups: Milwaukee, Baltimore, Atlanta. So the wheels coming off for him a little bit there. I think the Brian Wu comment that you bring up, 4 straight starts of 6 innings. Finally got up to 85 pitches last time out because he did come back from that injury. They have been slow to build him. So the fact that, they pulled him after 66 against the Angels, 6 shutout, guy's been dominant in these starts. They just have been very cautious because he's coming off the arm injury. Have to love the 85 pitches there. Got to think that there's an opportunity for him to pitch a little bit deeper into that game. But I'm kind of with you there. I mean, maybe Hicks because they're in San Francisco, and if there's no Bregman, we know there's no Kyle Tucker. Like that lineup, outside of Jordan and Altuve, certainly have a little bit more holes in it, I guess necessarily, but still not my favorite matchup either. Is Taylor McGill the next guy you'd go to at home against Miami here?
Yeah, probably. I like Tyler McGill a lot. I think it's a weak lineup in Miami, and I think that he can rebound off of getting slapped around in that outing against Washington. So I'm perfectly fine going to McGill here. I think that's a nice spot to be. I also, and you're gonna laugh, but I kind of like JP Sears against San Diego, who just continuously cannot hit left-handed pitching. You're talking about a 293 WOBA. You're talking about a 123 isolated power mark, a 258 BABIP. So they're not putting the ball in play. Now, they're not striking out. But again, if Sears can hold this lineup in check for 5 to maybe 6 innings, I think that's a great spot as far as a pay down goes. I like McGill more because I think he's got better strikeout potential against Miami.
Yeah.
But I think Sears can be somebody that if you want to throw into a GPP tournament, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I think, and obviously no one's going to be looking to play JP Sears here, but obviously the recent starts out of him have been pretty solid. And yeah, even with San Diego's recent, offensive boon, the last couple of games, and obviously they had a great matchup on Monday. You look at some of their splits, especially like Tatis. Tatis is hammering righties, hitting, around 200 against lefties this year. You'd think as a righty power hitter, even that he would be handling lefties. He's just not. And even over the last couple of weeks, again, the biggest thing here is that they are not striking out. Last 2 weeks, just a 14% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, but 130 WOBA. I mean, ISO, a 310 WOBA, like nothing crazy there for the Padres. They're just, Dude, not getting any strikeouts. So
how about this? With the exception of Jerks and Profar.
Yeah.
All right. Tatis, who has a 317 WOBA. Machado has a 301 WOBA against lefties. Everybody else, Arise, Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, Luis Camposano against left-handed pitching, they are all well below 290 weighted on base average. So, yeah, I just think it's just an under the radar play. Again, you're not going to get like huge strikeout numbers, but you're still gonna, you could still end up going, say 5 2/3 with like 1 or 2 runs, maybe at the most.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely don't mind that, especially in a large slate. You're looking to spend down, get a little different, clear value plays for me. McGill and Sears certainly make a great case, especially when they're sending out Randy Vasquez on the other side of that matchup here. He hasn't been anything special of late, especially if you look at some of the underlying numbers on him as well. He's just due to get beat up there. So I like it. Moving on over to the catcher position here. Again, a spot where we generally look to find the value. I will highlight at least that both the Angels and the Diamondbacks are throwing lefties out there. We obviously like both of these teams against left-handed pitching. So could go with like a Logan O'Hawk, could go with a Gabriel Moreno even a little bit further down as a cheap bat in the middle of that lineup there. Yanier Diaz has been really good of late, starting to pick things back up. So plenty of mid-tier options for us when it comes to the catcher spot once again.
Yeah, and as soon as I get to the catcher spot, I scroll all the way to the bottom and I work my way up just to have a look. See, Henry Davis is only 2,500. I know he hasn't been great, but again, it's against Michaelis, who pitches to contact. So I wouldn't be against that at all. You've got what's his face, Luis Torrens. If he plays, I think he's an interesting option here. Against Luzardo, the lefty. I think that's a good spot to take a look at as well. If Grandal is catching against Michaelis, then he's only 3,000. Trevino against Singer is only 3,000. So you've got some good value here towards the bottom as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with you as well. And I know Grande would be mentioning Kyle Higashioka. Homers in 3 of the last 4. I know you mentioned JP Sears, but this is a guy that last year with the Yankees hit lefties pretty well. If he finds himself in the lineup over Campusano could get a nice little power boost at $2,800.
Which is so funny because Higashioka has a 202 weighted on base average against left-handed pitching with 1 home run on the year.
Yeah.
37% strikeout rate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm diving into that.
Okay. Last season, he was much better against left-handed pitching for sure.
What have you done for me lately?
First base.
Otani
and Freeman both get the Dane Dunning matchup. Bryce Harper gets Carter Crawford.
Yeah.
Christian Walker gets a lefty. Alonso gets a lefty. So some good matchups up top here.
Take your pick. Whatever stack you're using, you might as well just dive in. I think it's definitely, you could use any of them as a one-off if you've got that kind of money. But, I mean, to me, it's more about who we want to stack against. I do, obviously – Dodgers against Dane Dunning at home, probably one of the premier matchups there. But Pete Alonso, I might hang out with him against Luzardo at 5,100, being the cheapest of the crew.
Sure. I think Pasquantino here is a little bit interesting as well. Stroman this year against left-handed hitters, 378 WOBA, 500 slugging percentage, 1.7 home runs per 9 allowed to lefties. Pasquantino starting to heat it back up, 325 and almost 1,000 OPS over his last 10 games. You obviously know that the Royals lineup can get it going. Big bats like Bobby Witt and Perez, but Pasquantino get it going, just makes that lineup all that more potent there. Any other guys for you in this mid-tier range?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe Hoskins in that lefty-righty split, although hasn't really hit lefties all that well. He does draw walks. He doesn't strike out, but sure. Hoskins there at 4,200 might be a little bit intriguing to take a look at. Further down the list here, I don't really have a whole lot of love for what's out there. There's really nothing in that, in the 3K range that really excites me very much.
Yeah. I'd give a look at Carlos Santana versus Quantrill.
Yeah.
He's been better of late. 294, 914 over the last 10 as a switch hitter there.
If you're fading McGill, you could go with Jake Berger down there and at 3,400. He's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. That's probably it for some value. Moving on over to second base. Semien versus Paxton, Marte versus Suarez. I think would be two of my favorites of that tier.
Yeah, I mean, listen, any right-handed Texas bats, and even some left-handed Texas bats against Paxton, we know he's going to walk a ton of guys, so he's going to put guys on base.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's perfectly fine. Or Marte going up against the lefty, I think that's a good spot for him as well.
You remember the last Paxton start? You and I did the show together. We were all over Pittsburgh, and look what happened.
I had that stack, right? I had that Brian Hayes, Nick Gonzalez, and who was the third that I threw in there?
Was it Reynolds?
No, it wasn't Reynolds. Damn, I can't remember who it was. It was right there. It was like a 4.56 or a 3.45.
Yeah. Connor Joe?
It was not Connor Joe.
Okay. Well, I don't know how.
I'm going to tell you exactly who it is now. Now I got to look it up. Now I need to know who it was.
Off track. Anyways, back
Edward Olivares.
Oh yeah, my guy.
Your guy.
My guy. Well, yeah. Great.
Luis Rengifo against the lefty did not work on Friday, by the way.
No, Angels did not have a great showing the last time out against Framber Valdez. You know what? Elite pitching sometimes will shut down hitting. That happens. I don't consider Montgomery, who's booed off the field last time he pitched in Arizona, to be of that same caliber right now. So I will happily go back to my Rengifo, Nato, Pilar stack. In this one against Montgomery. And on the flip side, we'll talk some Arizona. As I mentioned, Ketel Marte's up there against Suarez. Suarez is not a great pitcher either. If you're looking to spend up, we'll continue to go Nick Gonzalez. He's really good. 7th overall pick a couple years ago. That one certainly plays out. Anybody else for you at second base here?
I'm looking through here. I mean, I wouldn't hate on Geloff against Vasquez. I mean, sure. Geloff hasn't had a great year, but I still wouldn't, kick him out of the lineup there. Other than that, no, I think that there's very limited value as you move further down. Look, I just got to Danny Mendick, so I guess I'm done here at second base.
I was gonna say, would you consider Jose Iglesias? Guys hitting 400, 930 OPS. Another one that has hit lefty as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, of course, I'll consider it. I mean, if he's got the numbers to do it, I don't see why you wouldn't. But again, Jose Iglesias. I mean, what's he priced at? Where is he?
3K.
He's at 3K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
No, he's not terrible, but he also doesn't really offer you a whole lot of the world of production either.
Okay.
Not to mention he is coming back from London.
True. Moving on over to the third base position here, then Jose Ramirez is up top in Cincinnati, the Great American Small Park, $6,400. Royce Lewis at $5,800 in that spot.
It's crazy.
They've got Vladdy with third base eligibility now since the weekend, going into the weekend. So he's seeing a little time over at the hot corner. So he's got that eligibility. A couple of other guys we've already discussed here. Thoughts on third base?
Yeah, nobody's really, I mean, as far as like just kind of looking at it, nobody's really popping that much. I mean, obviously we talked about Devers already, possibly if you want to fade Wheeler. He is day to day though. Royce Lewis, I think, is a great play here against Quantrill. I have no problem using him there. Bohm for 57, though I'd rather him be facing a lefty.
Yep.
For that, Vladdy, good spot here as well. And then you get down to Rengifo, which happy to lock in over on that side there. Yeimer Candelario against Tristan McKenzie. We didn't talk about him at first base, but I'm not. I just don't think that McKenzie's the guy that we kind of thought he would be last year, the year before. So I don't love him.
It's fine. I still don't mind Josh Smith even in a lefty-lefty matchup. Paxton's just been that bad, so I'm okay going there with him at 4K if you wanted to stack. Mark Vientos, though, was the value play I wanted to get to. Still has a ton of great numbers against lefties. Could be a tough spot for Luzardo, who certainly has capabilities of shutting teams down, but we've also seen him blow up plenty of times as well. So for $3,600, assuming Mark Vientos in the lineup here against the lefty, continues to be productive, had a hit and a pinch hit RBI situation. So happy to plug him at $3,600 here for some value.
Yeah, absolutely. I had Vientos I had him in the stock watch, and I had him in the waiver wire article for season long. So I'm okay with that. A little further down there, I don't mind Joey Ortiz against the lefty. I think he's got some possibilities there against Kikuchi. I don't hate on that.
Yeah.
What about your boy IKF? Are you still locking in on him?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Again, continues to be productive. Man had 5 RBI the other day. So, he's not someone that's going to go hit 20 homers or steal 20 bases. But, I mean, if he's going to give you some extra base opportunities and continue to produce the way he is, I don't see why you wouldn't at least consider him, in this spot if you're playing Blue Jays. So I definitely like that. Dual positional eligibility also continues to carry some of that value for him. Yeah, Ezekiel Duran is $2,600. I know he has not been great this year, but
not been great.
If Seager's out again, he's going to be in the lineup. So I don't mind that at 26.
Yeah, but let me ask you that. I mean, the question is, if you're doing it as like a throwaway, like pay down, that's one of the things that I'm kind of curious about, because as you and I kind of roll through the different positions and stuff like that, we're like, yeah, what about this guy? Yeah, what about that guy? Where do you stand on just how much value are you getting by taking a shot? If you're doing it as a throwaway, Ezekiel Duran at third, and you're like, yeah, I just want to get somebody cheap in there so I can get some really pricey outfielders or some really pricey pitching. How often are you inclined to do a play like that where a guy has been ice cold? He's there for his glove. He's there filling in for an injured player. At that point, because he's probably batting 7th in the lineup too.
Yeah, I'm going to see I'm going to go check the lineup and see where they hit him. Because listen, last year he had a 270 ISO against left-handed pitching. This year again, he's played sparingly. He does not have great numbers overall. So it's hard to look at his body of work this year and to your point, be like, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy to plug in here. Rangers lineup.
I know, because I know people they hear us talking and they're like, okay, he sounds more bullish on this guy than he does on that guy. But when we start pulling out some of these,
he's hitting 5th. Saying fifth in the middle of the lineup against James Paxton at $2,600. He had a 270 ISO last year against lefties. So I hear what you're saying and just kind of give you an answer. I think it's all circumstantial to a lot of those questions that you asked. He's sitting in the middle of the lineup. It's against a pitcher that we know is not pitching well, right? Not striking anybody out, walking a ton of guys, just got blown up. We know the Rangers lineup can certainly be potent. He's not hitting ninth, he's hitting fifth. And he has a track record of success the last 2 seasons against left-handed pitching. Again, this year, he's hitting 270 against lefties. There's just no power against lefties.
Right.
So I'm for those cases, sure, $2,600, because also it's going to help you get a Semien over 5K or an Adolis over 5K. Or when you go to shortstop, if you wanted to plug him as a mini stack, you can spend up on a Betts or a Ohtani when we get there. So yes, I think it has to fit. Like the Jose Iglesias, yes, that's a throwaway, right? Like if you're stacking Mets and you want to get Lindor and Alonso in there, then you probably need a 3K, a 3K Jose Iglesias maybe to make that work or something like that. But yeah, but for Duran, where he's going to be part of a 3, 4, 5 stack or something like that, I think that he's fine. I don't think he's necessarily a throwaway play. I think he's a mispriced play given his current role. On their team, as long as Seager remains out of the lineup, which he is. Again, they actually, as we're recording this again, he's saying fifth today. They have Josh Smith hitting second with Seager out of the lineup. So that's kind of with the direction they're going, in that spot necessarily there. So moving on to shortstop, again, Bobby Witt, Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz. Can't really argue with any of those three. Got a preference of a group here?
No, I mean, you know what? Shout out to Bobby Witt, who is now the new number 1 overall in the Fantasy Alarm Dynasty MLB rankings.
Okay.
Matt Sells just did an update on that one today. You guys can go check that out for all you Dynasty players out there. So, obviously Bobby Witt. But, listen, Mookie Betts against Dane Dunning is probably the best play out of the 3 of them. Ellie could be good there as well, but Dunning is definitely the most hittable of those 3 pitchers.
Yeah, obviously the Dodgers lineup the most sexy as well, right? Getting the other day it happened, like Betts got on, Ohtani got on, Freeman hit a 3-run homer, right? Like that's the way they draw that up.
Dude, how funny was it? I was a day late on that Dodgers stack that it wasn't terrible. Like no. Ohtani went yard and Freeman got, like a hit and 2 RBI. Betts ended up going like 0 for 4 with a walk that day. And then all of a sudden the next day it was like Betts had multiple hits. Ohtani or Betts and Freeman went yard and Ohtani had multiple hits. Yeah. I was like,
the way it's daily. It's why you gotta go back and always get your exposure to these lineups here. Yeah. Underneath them, again, Volpe's been really good. Continues to get on base. Obviously we don't know the status of Soto. But when he gets back, obviously that just continues to help the Yankees lineup. Ezekiel Tovar, I don't know if you read the article over the weekend. He basically had eliminated the leg kick, and it just helped his timing. And all of a sudden now the guy's like a 300 hitter with power. So, those sort of things certainly play up. Lindor versus lefty at 46. Bichette, a good group here in that mid 4K range.
Yeah, who the hell is Caleb Bushley?
You've got me there. I don't.
He's a 30-year-old right-hander who's bouncing back and forth between AAA and the majors, and is apparently I don't know if he's gonna get the start or if he's going to be like maybe an opener. I don't really know, but he is not good. Yeah, he is not good.
Doesn't seem like it's going to bode well there. So if you want to get some Rockets exposure, you can. That's fine. I don't know if you've seen some of the StatCast numbers on these O'Neal Cruz homers, but they're insane. He's hitting like 480-foot bombs. He's got Miles Mikolas on the mound here. Again, this is the only time you want to use O'Neal Cruz is against guys who don't strike out, hitters and righties. So this should be a spot. I can't imagine Michaelis strikes out on O'Neal Cruz here. So.
Yeah, I don't see Mike. He just pitches to too much contact.
That's what I'm saying,
so
right?
I'm in on that for sure. Pena against Hicks, I think, is a fine spot if you wanted to go in that realm there.
Sure.
Baby Blaze Alexander going up against a lefty, although that dude is just kind of really falling off the tarmac.
Just go the other guy, Zach Nato.
Oh, your boy, Zach Nato. There you go.
Still good numbers against lefties. He's got Montgomery at 34.
Is it Nato or is it Nito?
I don't know.
Why
You
not?
got the pronunciation guide, so
I'll have to dig that up and find it for sure.
I'll get it right now. Zach Nato. Let's see what we got here. We got a pronunciation guide.
There is nothing down here at the bottom as far as like where do we want to go.
Yeah, I got nothing either. I mean, again, Wheeler obviously is too good, so you're not going to go either of the Red Sox guys.
No. Outfield it is.
Yeah, outfield it is. We obviously, again, pick your guy, Judge or Ohtani, Soto, if they're in the line. If Soto's in the lineup, you can certainly go.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But for the same token, though, I mean, Fernando Tatis Jr., as of recording this, and he still has one game on Monday night that we haven't watched yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Padres played on Monday night.
Yep, they do.
Tatis on a 15-game hit streak right now. Right? I mean, that is it's quite impressive.
I took the over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for him.
There you go. During this hit streak, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs. So I definitely like that. Could go Schwarber against Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Lefty bat. Teoscar against Dunning is perfectly fine and usable in that spot there. Garcia against Paxton. Sure. I mean, this is really like paying up at outfield. All these guys, 5K or higher.
I mean, we joke about Steve Kwan, but he's still hitting 400 over the last 10.
Yeah, and yet still not as pricey as Jarren Duran.
Yeah, I know. But yet Kwan versus Nick Martinez in Cincinnati, like it's weird to say you'd pay $5,100 for a guy that really has no power, but he did homer the other day. So I'd be willing to go Steve Kwan here and do a 2-man Ramirez Kwan stack against Nick Martinez in Cincinnati.
I think I'm going Julio Rodriguez against Drew Thorpe.
Okay.
Rodriguez's bat has woken up a little bit lately. He's actually got some really good numbers over his last 10 games. Who the hell is Drew Thorpe?
Right.
Is this a top prospect that we're looking at here? Like all of a sudden, I'm looking at a White Sox pitcher about to make his debut. He's been here's the write-up. He's been dominant for AA Birmingham this season. And he's bypassing AAA. So, you know what? I'm going to lock in Julio Rodriguez here.
Okay. That works for me. Let's see. What else are we going down here? Stanton, Rooker, both of those guys. Taylor Ward's 47.
Mm-hmm.
Pilar,
45.
Yeah, for sure. Can run that one out there.
Michael Conforto, lefty bat against Blanco. I don't hate that one at all.
Sure. Is Andujar still hitting? He is. Andujar still hitting.
Andujar is still hitting. I think out of principle, I'm not going to pay $4,300 for Miguel Andujar.
Okay.
It's just out of again. Here you go, Jerks and Profar. Again, if you're just looking at if you're not going to use Sears, Profar this year. Have you seen what Profar has done this year? Dude's hitting 325 with 10 home runs. 4 stolen bases. He's got like 40 some odd RBI. Like
finally making the Rangers proud of taking him 1 overall.
I mean, this is like, we're just, I think that this is probably like the quietest that we've seen, a ton of people. And I haven't looked at, he mashes lefties from the right side of the plate. So, for me, I'm looking at that. I mean, if you want to just pair him up, if you can afford him and Tatis.
I agree. Even in this year, Lourdes Gurriel this year, for as bad as his overall numbers look, left-handed pitching this year, still smoking him. 547 slug, 227 ISO, 320 batting average, almost a 400 WOBA against lefties this year. 19% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching this year. So some really good numbers for Lourdes at $4,300. I found like you and I, Howard, when we do these shows, we just love this like low 4K like tier because they're just on these large slates they're just loaded with guys in great spots.
Yeah, because you've got these large slates, you've got all these great players. It's just pushing the value, further down.
Yeah,
we didn't even talk about Jake Fraley, a lefty against McKenzie at home in Cincinnati. I think that's a great spot
right there at 44 as well. Connor Buck's more expensive in that spot. JD Martinez against the lefties, 4K still. They just like don't move this man's This man's price tag. We know what he can do against lefties.
Yep. Verdugo against Singer, Larnack against Quantrill. I think those are all very usable for sure.
Agreed.
And then if you go below 4K, like Andy Pages against, I mean, if you're looking for like a cheaper way to get Dodger bats in there, Pages has not been a disappointment at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see here. Elio Ramos has been crazy. I know he's a righty, but like these numbers are just pretty insane for him this year. $3,800. I'm not doing Joe Adele. I don't care what his numbers say against lefties. He's just
why? You're like the guy who like jumps on those kind of things.
He's 2 for 27. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Nice.
Luke Raley's 35. I don't mind that. Let's see. Anything else down here? Jack Sawinski's 33. He hit the homer off glass now last weekend.
Yeah. Sawinski.
Melendez is 32. He homered the other day.
Yeah, there's your boy Edward Olivares, but you only like him against lefties.
Only versus lefties. Yeah.
Only versus lefties.
All right, let's build a lineup here.
Why not? Let's do it. Wow,
pitching.
Look at Jackson Churio all the way down at 3.
I know. They're playing him at least. They're not going to send him down. All right, so we like Skeens.
We do.
What are we doing? Are we doing Skeens and McGill or Sears, or do we do Skeens with Wu? Like, what do you think?
Let's start with Wu and see how much maneuverability we have with our lineup. Let's pick out some value guys here that we want to kind of throw in there. You already got Torrens in there behind the plate.
Yeah. So Torrens. I'm gonna go Duran. 2,600. Where is he? Third base. All right. So that gives us 43.83. Do you want Freeman or Ohtani?
Let's put Ohtani in the outfield.
Okay.
Let's at first base. I'm trying to find. I mean, Alonso, I like. Who else were we looking at? There really wasn't anybody as far as value went. You did like Pascantino against Stroman.
So we can do, if you're not looking to spend up, we can actually do Duran at first and Vientos at third.
Duran at first and Vientos at third. All right, and that gets us our extra Duran. Just throwing away the first base position here.
I'm not throwing it away. He's hitting 5th against Paxton.
You're throwing it away.
4K.
I'm sensing a Grader's ice cream bet now. All of a sudden on the fantasy points for Ezekiel Duran on Tuesday.
All right, 6.5. We'll set the line.
That's kind of a low line for a guy who's batting 5th, who mashes lefties normally.
That's basically what his average has been since he's been in the lineup. So 3 games below 6.5, 3 games over 6.5.
Give me the under 7.
Under 7? You want the hook on this too? You're just
and odds.
You're just pushing the lines. All right. So we got 4K, second base, shortstop, and 2 outfielders. We did like the 4K outfield here. So
we definitely did.
Where were we going? Profar at 42.
Yeah, just throw Tatis and see how much money that leaves us.
Okay. 3,200.
Let's have a look-see here. All right, so second and short.
Make it work, but you're not going to like it. You get Jose Iglesias.
Well, we could definitely make it work, but no, I don't want to.
There it is.
I don't want to cripple ourselves. What do you got? Oh, there's your boy Iglesias.
I told you we can make it work, but you weren't going to like it. So
the Nito one.
What we have here is a bottom half of the Mets lineup with Torrens, Iglesias, Vientos.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
We got a one-off Nato. We got the Padres mini stack with Tatis and you wanted Tatis, so
all right, we'll take out Tatis then.
We could go Rengifo at second with Nato at short. Goes to 2-man Angel stack,
and that gives us 4K for an outfielder.
Yeah. You mentioned Pages. We can do Pages or Stunning. Give us an Ohtani Pages play.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't love it, but I don't hate it
It's
either.
an example lineup. We'll be back live, obviously, at 5 p.m. Eastern time to run this back with all the latest news lineup updates. If you also want to go off of Woo and go down to McGill
Oh,
against
yeah.
Miami,
Let's do
now we
that.
got a whole bunch of money. We can go back to your Tatis play.
We can definitely go back to the
There it
Tatis
is.
play.
Look at that. We get Renhefo and Nato, Profar, Tatis, Otani.
Oh, I
Just,
like this one much better than the other
just
one.
like that, ladies and gentlemen. So
Look at that
here's
outfield.
that's a great outfield, right? Otani, Profar, Tatis. We got our Angel stack, Renifo and Nato. We got Vientos. We got Duran and Torrens. So
I'm in, baby. I'm in.
example lineup for everybody here. Again, we'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you set your alarms for that. We appreciate you hanging with us here. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you later.